TikTok, AM, PM, whenever you're watching this, however you're watching it, and wherever you're watching it, we appreciate it. This is Intern TV Quarantine on Location, Episode 3. I am Matt Dopp, your co-host, and today we have another exciting and riveting and heart-pounding episode of internship stories from our very own Newman University students. And today, we have probably our guest that is the most excited to be on this show. He's an absolute electric factory, and he can make anyone his friend. We got Alex Rucci coming on the show, and we cannot wait to hear about all of his internships. But before we get to him, we got to introduce the other two men that make this show great, Andrew Golden and Jeff Wilson. Andrew, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Matt. I'm in my basement. It's a little cold, and I'm in this polo. I'm a little underdressed, but I left all my stuff at school, and we haven't been able to get back, but I'm hanging in there. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know what? You look good. Don't sell yourself short.
Thank you.
And I know, Jeff, you're looking pretty damper today, too. How you feeling?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Feeling good. It's a great day to be great, like I always say. So, pumped to be back with the boys. It's been a long week without you guys.
Agreed.
Absolutely. So I guess shouldn't waste any more time. Let's bring him in. Alex Rucci, how you doing?
What's going on, guys? I'm happy to be here. I'm excited for this.
You know, before we started this, we knew you were coming. We know that you're a pretty big Browns guy, and we were taking side bets about what you were going to have behind you. And I'll tell you what, we knocked it out of the park.
You guys really bet a Brady Quinn fathead from 2007?
No, we just thought Browns in general.
Maybe not Brady Quinn, but
yeah, Brady Quinn's been on 9 different teams, and he's now an analyst since then. So
yeah, I'll tell you what, you're lucky we like it because we're big Eagles and Ravens guys around here. So you're lucky we're keeping you around.
Oh, I'm happy. I know. I hear that often, though, so it's not easy being a Browns fan, but
yeah. But anyway, enough of this silly fandom stuff. I know you've been doing a lot of internships. This is obviously a pretty crazy time in the world. So first off, you want to just talk about how your whole quarantine's going for you?
Yeah, so I mean, this has definitely been a scary time just for everyone, and it's definitely been a tough time, especially for the working world and for business professionals and any professional and what they're doing. But what I've been doing right now with this quarantine, I've been just trying to stay busy, keeping up with my schoolwork, still continuing to network and reach out to people and kind of just continue to do the things that I would be doing as much as I can while I would be normally in classes. And what I really like about this is that it's still allowing me to have time to spend with my family a little bit more than I would usually. I live obviously on campus, so I'm not really around as much, but I'm really happy that I'm able to turn this into some type of positivity by staying with my family.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And yeah, obviously this isn't the most ideal time, but finding those small things that make it great. Like you said, finding time with your family, finding time to network. I know you're a big LinkedIn guy.
Huge LinkedIn guy.
So I know you had a good amount of things going on this semester, and you had a couple internships lined up. So how have they been affected through this?
Yeah, so right now I'm doing a corporate sponsorship internship with with Citizens Bank, and I serve as an on-site liaison between Citizens Bank and the Philadelphia Phillies. So what we've been doing is we've been just trying to find ways to stay busy, and that's the toughest thing. So my internship, I would most likely be in the ballpark probably 4 times this week already. And unfortunately, I'm stuck home in my bedroom, just hopping on conference calls and phone calls with the Phillies. And one of the coolest things, though, is that my boss, his name is Brian Angione. He's the man, and he's been really trying to help us stay busy. And myself and my other intern that I work with, just some tasks of how we can continue to help working with Citizens Bank's social media campaign, launching an Instagram potentially called Citizens Bank Park, and how we're going to just kind of spread the word of what we're trying to do when the season resumes.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I know, like, I had a promotions gig lined up with the Phillies, so we were pretty excited to try to have a small park and run into place. But
I know we were working on it.
We'll have to get pushed off. But I know you've done a lot of other internships that were on site, on location. How have you felt doing this work online? Is it a different feel? Like, what's the comparison for you?
Yeah, it's definitely a tough feel. I went from interning with the Headstrong Foundation, traveling to North Carolina, traveling to Lake Placid, and just going pretty much all over the place, selling and doing sales. And it automatically now switched into me sitting in my room now, hopping on conference calls and everything. But I do think the one thing that helps us the most is the fact that it's a lot of the stuff that we do as a sport management major, a lot of it is on LinkedIn. A lot of it is on reaching out and DMing people on Instagram that are sports and business professionals, and just using these different social media platforms and just online services to help us in our favor. And I think that the online transition has definitely been helpful for me because I'm younger, I'm a college student, and I'm exposed to all these type of things growing up. So that wasn't the hardest part. I think just the hardest part about this is just thinking about what you're missing out on, thinking about the valuable person-to-person contact, because anyone can get an email from someone, anyone can have a phone call with someone, but you really build those relationships and strengthen them when you're face-to-face contact with someone.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point right there with still continuing to build relationships and just try and make the best of this whole situation, because obviously it's something that I don't know that anybody has ever really gone through. But kind of building off of that, how have you been able to kind of craft your own schedule at home? Obviously this is an adjustment period, and we still have classes. There's still work to be done, like you mentioned with your internship, and then you're also involving the fact that you're now living back at home with your family. So how have you been able to create a schedule that really kind of works for you and has fit well for you?
Yeah, so I would say my schedule, honestly, it changes often. I think I try to have some type of structure the night before when I start planning on it. I only have 2 online classes that I have to physically be present on, which is on Zoom classes. And one is Dr. J, her class with NUSM 460, and Dr. Till's class as well. And those are just twice. Till's is twice a week, and Lanzilla's is twice a week as well. So those are the only ones I really have to be physically present for and prepare for. But the rest, I'm just able to really just get my work done immediately when it gets posted online. So I have Joe Glass for 2 communications classes and Andy Miller for a history class. And they just assign work on Sunday night at midnight. So that Monday morning, after I'm done Dr. Lanzillo's class, I just try to finish all of that work for the rest of the week, just so I could focus on worrying about my business related core classes and having enough time to handle all the internship work I have as well.
So we've recently done a kind of a group episode of the Intern TV on rejection, and I've seen you've been able to do an internship every year you've been in college. Have you ever been rejected? And if so, how do you get motivated to keep pursuing after being rejected?
Absolutely. So I have been rejected in certain points with some internships. Actually, I got rejected from 3 internships when I was applying for this this current semester, and I forget what company it was that I was interning with. But you're always going to get hit with the classic every once in a while. You just don't seem like you're the right fit. Your characteristics, they make you take an online test before they actually get face to face with you, and then they say, well, your characteristics don't blend with what we're trying to have in the working place here. And so those are definitely tough, but at the end of the day, I know that I got rejected basically by a computer. I didn't get rejected because of who I am and the type of person I am and what I have to bring. So honestly, I know it's going to sound very cliche and cheesy when I say this, but one of the biggest reasons that I've been able to just continue to be persistent was sports. And evidently, obviously I'm a sport management major, and it's taught me a lot. And so growing up for me, it was definitely tough. I always kind of felt like I was the odd man out when it came to sports. I know my brother was a way better athlete than me and still is. And I always had that like chip on my hands. And me and him have gone through the same coaches, and I've had some of them straight up say to my face, I'm nothing like my brother. And that definitely hurt. But I think that's something that continued to push me and help me grow and just kind of grow up a little bit faster, to just mature a little bit more, but keep like a straight center focus of knowing what I want to accomplish.
Yeah, and listening to you talk there, it actually kind of pulled some of my heartstrings, because I know me and you, we kind of have some of the similarities, where I grew up playing hockey, and my one cousin was he was really good, and he made the ECHL, which is just under the AHL. So I did the same thing. I'd go through the same coaches, and they'd be like, dude, this kid sucks. But they went in their head. But anyway, obviously, rejection is pretty big, and that's something that we've tried to harp on people and pronounce on the shows that, just like Dr. J says, we only need one you only need one job to say yes, and rejection is going to be part of it. And like actually, I applied for a bunch of internships back in the fall, and actually got one letter back today saying I got rejected. So that was a little unfortunate, but it's fine because it's part of it. And like you said, you're getting rejected by a computer, you're not getting rejected because of who you are. And that was a great answer for that. And I want to transition here to something a little more fun. And I know you started hitting on it, and you're taking my questions on me. But when you were interning at the Headstrong Foundation, you got to travel down to Charlotte and up to Lake Placid. So what got you on the road, and what were you doing out there?
Oh, so it was awesome. So when we traveled to, we'll start with Charlotte first. So Headstrong is a nonprofit organization that's rooted by cancer, but it has a foundation with lacrosse. Nick Calalori was a Division I college lacrosse player at Hofstra, and then he ended up passing away to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And it was his mission to just do whatever he could to help the lives that were affected by cancer. So we started this foundation, and since then we've been able to help thousands and thousands of people who are battling all sorts of different cancers and the financial burden it puts on their families. And so we ended up we decided that we wanted to also convert and just not be lacrosse, but kind of expand our market a little bit to football. We had Chris Hogan, who is an NFL wide receiver, on board as a member of the Headstrong Foundation as well. So we went to the National Football Coaches Convention in Charlotte. So it was actually myself. I got my brother to tag along as well with me. And it was Pat Calalori, Nick's brother, and Jeff Baxter. And we had the time of our life. It was during the national championship weekend for football, and it was Clemson versus Alabama. And it was just an exciting weekend to be there. And all the coaches were there from high school, Pee Wee to Division I, Division II, and Division III. And it was a 10-hour ride. We stopped, I think, maybe twice. I was crammed in a car with about 6 people, and I was so uncomfortable. But the memories that we made on this trip were some of the funnest, and me and my brother still bring up some of these memories. Once a week, we just always crack up about some of the jokes that we have from this.
You talk about all the great memories that you've made, and the great experience that I'm sure that was for you. But to get all that reward, you have to work hard to get there. So could you kind of elaborate and touch upon like how you went about acquiring these internships, and how you built your network to get to where you are today, and to make those connections?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's a great question too, because a lot of the people are going to think it's just going to be network. The best thing that I realized that have worked out for me, just in this whole process of trying to find internships and job opportunities, was take every person that you meet extremely serious. So it could be Billy Smith, who you've never met before, walking on the sidewalk. If they say something to you, give them the time to speak and listen to really what they have to say. I think all of my internships that I've actually gotten in my lifetime have been through someone that I knew and established a relationship with. So it is one of those things that, yes, it's about who you know and who knows you, and that cliche saying, but it's one of those things that I take every person that I meet very seriously, and I'm always going to be willing to let someone talk and always want to hear what their kind of interests are, because I do the same thing for others as well. That I've been very fortunate to have people take the time to put their name on the line for me, and I'm going to be willing to do that for a lot of people moving forward too. And it's definitely something that's been rewarding for myself.
So, speaking on what you just said about networking, how have you managed to, for example, the Headstrong? It was one of your first internships. How have you been able to use those contacts to move up into different internships?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know when I was working with Headstrong, I actually got that internship from my assistant lacrosse coach, Evan Zielinski at Newman. And he put in a good word for me and introduced me to him. I was familiar with the Headstrong Foundation, and I went there, I interviewed with them, and I ultimately got hired. And it was awesome, and it was a great opportunity. The first one wasn't paid, but then when I returned again a year and a half later, I was able to have a paid internship opportunity there. So one of the biggest things that I was able to take just from learning there, and how it kind of transitioned to help me getting other internships, was problem solving. I remember there's a time where we had, and this is one of my biggest things that I always say when I get asked, how did I problem solve during an interview? And this is where I'm going to lead off with that, is that I remember it was 4:45 a.m. and we were preparing for a tournament in Delaware. And we get there, but the night before we filed everything that we were bringing to the tournament to sell, and we checked it about 3 times, and we had everything. We made sure we had everything. And we get there in the morning, we're unloading the truck and setting everything up, and all of a sudden the tent weights weren't there. And we're like, what's going on? Me and the other intern are looking at each other. I know we packed them, I know we counted them and everything, and they just weren't there on the bus or anything, on the truck that we had. So instead of throwing my other intern under the bus or us going at it with each other and just kind of like complaining and getting in the way, I just said to my boss, I said, hey, I noticed we passed the Home Depot on the way here. I don't mind. I'll go run there and grab some weights there for us and bring them here. No problem. Like, well, everything will work out. I went there, grabbed all the stuff, and ultimately we had one of our best days selling, which was great. But it's one of those things that problem solving technique that I was able to take with Headstrong from an experience that I went all in on, I was able to answer those type of questions when I get asked, how did I problem solve for other internships? And those are the type of valuable lessons that you're able to learn and carry with you.
Tell you what, that deserves a round of applause.
I appreciate that.
I'm taking the heat for this. We usually give out the story chain, but the story chain's about 5 feet over there on my bed. So we'll go get it for you eventually, but the camera was coming to me, so I couldn't run away yet.
No worries.
You know, Rucci, it was a beautiful story, and it really sums up who you are.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Matt.
But I'm going to take it back a quick question here, not too far. I know you're probably the biggest ambassador for LinkedIn and networking at Newman, and you basically talked about how much LinkedIn mattered to you and how much networking has mattered to you. And something that we've been instilled with since we started at Newman freshman year is informational interviews, going out there and meeting professionals. So what has doing informational interviews led for you in your life?
Probably one of the most beneficial things that we've done at Newman as a sport management major. Definitely have to give credit to Dr. J and Caleb Mezzi for just continuing to press that onto us to help us reach out and step out of our comfort zones. And I know my first ever informational interview, I wanted to start it off a little bit slower. So I kind of reached out to someone that I knew, and it went well. I did really well, but it was nice because then I started to get comfortable. I was able to start talking. I was worried more about talking in front of the people in my class before I was worried about talking to like a business professional. And then once I realized, I said, this isn't as bad as you think. So I wanted to step out of my comfort zone. I ended up reaching out to the people that run Bleacher Report as one of my informational interviews. And I was able to really take it serious. I had multiple phone calls and emails with different people there and was able to pull different perspectives and things. But what I mean by just how beneficial informational interviews were, it just allowed me to be comfortable. It allowed me to do the type of things I'm doing right now, talking to you guys online. And it just allowed me to really expand my vocabulary, just feel comfortable talking in front of a large audience and being put on the spotlight, and how I'm able to handle it in front of others as well.
So, keeping on the topic of interviews, give us, not necessarily us, but anybody, just in general, give us some advice on an interview. Like, how do you go into an interview? How do you prepare? What are your steps to, really knock out an interview and do solid and make sure that, it was an effective interview and not just necessarily a waste of time for either side?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you just ended off with that last question was that it's not a waste of time for either side. I think that's one of the most important things as well, is that. So I think one thing that I've learned about just reaching out to people and kind of getting a little bit to just know for informational interviews is try not to talk about yourself so much. I think one of the biggest things is people get excited when you reach out to them and say, hey, I would love to hear about your story and how you got to where you are today. It's extremely impressive. I was looking at your LinkedIn and I saw that you worked at blank, blank, blank in 2002. And that's could have been their first internship or their first job. And that might pull some attention to them saying like, whoa, why does this person think it was interesting how I worked at Joe Schmo's and now I'm doing corporate sales with the Philadelphia Eagles? I think when you really show that you're genuinely interested, I think more people are willing to respond back and reach out and be like, whoa, like this kid is actually taking the time to really just look and see and dig deep to some of the stuff that I've been doing and just that I'm proud about. And that's what helped me get where I'm at. And then me as the person trying to interview them is able to just really fully engage and be locked in. So what I mean is that you just have to show your sincerity. I think if you show that you're genuine and you prepare and you come prepared with questions that aren't tell me about yourself. Like you don't want anything basic that can be answered just through their LinkedIn or just through a 2-minute conversation over email. I think if you really are just really interested and show that you're fully engaged, it will not be a waste of time for either party. And I think it will be more beneficial.
Well, Rucci, I went and got it for you. So I got the chain.
Oh, I
There it
love
is.
it.
Where's it at? There's the camera. So I'm going to hang
Yes.
it here hang it there for you in spirit. Then I'm going to hit you with, I know one of your great passions in life come with baseball cards. And I know that you acquired that from an internship.
Yes, yes. Go ahead. If you had a question, sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
Me or who? Andrew?
No, you, Matt. I know you brought them up. I just was saying yes, yes. Did you have a question about baseball cards?
No, yeah, I just thought you'd elaborate a little bit on there. I know you're
Oh,
a
yeah.
salesman at heart. You know, you got the Instagram going for it. So how'd that internship lead you into it?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that definitely I would say I'm proud about is the fact that when I would say around 12 years old, I started taking sports cards and baseball cards a little bit more serious and starting to just try and buy, sell, trade, and flip them just to gain profit and even just grow my collection to the stuff I liked. And eventually I started basically doing what I like to call investments as a kid. And I would just invest in a couple players, see if I liked them and how they played well. And I was able to sell them when they started having a hot streak. So, like, for example, Don Brown, when he was having all those home runs, I had an autograph of Don Brown and I sold it at the right time and I was able to cash out pretty well. And what that was able to do was kind of teach me a little bit about sales. And I've always had an interest in sales, but I didn't realize that I was selling as a kid. And that was really what sales were. So, for example, when I try to sell something on Instagram, when I'm direct messaging someone, just trying to convince them why they should invest in this card from me, this player, this product, it's all selling. I've been able to take all of those selling points and just kind of convert them to my real life internships, working in sales with Choice Sports Cards, and I've been able to just really carry that over with me. I didn't realize that I was selling my whole life, and it's definitely something that I've been able to work with and come into something strong having those sales tactics.
Going off of what you just said about how you were able to find that you had a sales skills since you were young, throughout your interning process, I should say, how have you been able to take those skills you've learned from the previous internships and carry them into, or I shouldn't say carry, but use them to help make quarantine work easier for you?
Yeah, definitely. That's a good question too. So I think when it comes to those selling points and just taking things definitely serious, I guess I'll give you a little story here, but it might be a little off topic. But so when I was working with Headstrong, um, one of the biggest things I wanted to do is I really wanted to impress my boss and show them that I was taking it serious and that I was definitely the right person for the job. Was when we were in Charlotte, um, we had reservations to go to a restaurant the night before, and what I wanted to do was on the way down there, riding in the bus ride, I had my Headstrong pamphlet with me, and I was just reading up on the entire storyline, the background of just all the awesome things that Headstrong had to offer. And when we get to the restaurant, I forget what it's called. It might have been called the Iron Pig, and we were sitting at the bar. But because I wasn't 21, I had to sit at the end of the table, at the end of the bar. So I was sitting next to a stranger, and I was sitting there, and the guy noticed my shirt said Headstrong, and he just kind of was chatting with me and just talking about what Headstrong is and what we do. And I was able to just kind of just tell him everything that I was reading and learning, and just stuff that I felt passionate about. And about, I would say, 20 minutes into the conversation, I had to run to the bathroom, and the guy, I didn't know this at the time, I was told this afterwards. The guy that I was sitting next to pulled my boss over because he was to the right of me and said, "Hey, is he one of your interns?" And my boss said, "Yeah, like, did he do something wrong? Like, is everything okay?" Because he didn't know what was going on. And he said, "No, but I just want to let you know that I just donated $400 to the Headstrong Foundation because of the fact that he
Wow.
just crushed his sales pitch to me." It turns out the guy's a dentist and he had a lot of money, but it was just something
Right.
that I was able to take with me and have a lot of pride with. And so how I've been able to just carry those sales type of techniques with me to this quarantine is that you never know who you're going to reach out to. You never know who you're going to talk to. Take all this time that you have valuable and serious, because you never know, reading into something or doing something and taking 10 minutes to read up on just the culture and the characteristics of the Headstrong Foundation, for example, that might ultimately help you out financially, or it might help you out with just landing an internship or a job, or just connecting with someone that is going to be beneficial with you.
Well, one last question for you before we keep it rolling to our next surprise segment for you.
Okay.
So, I know it's senior year for you. I know you're interning with Citizens Bank right now, but obviously that's kind of up in the air, kind of on hold, but still rolling at the same time with all of this COVID going on. So I have to ask, what's the next steps? How are you going to use these sales strategies and sales techniques and your unique storytelling ability? How are you going to use these skills to take you to the next step and kind of put you in the right path of where you want to be successfully down the road?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question too, especially being a senior and someone that's going to be graduating undergrad this spring. So what I've been able to do was I've been able to rethink things, definitely coming into different perspectives with the whole coronavirus happening. I was already planning on doing the master's program here at Newman University, and this actually happening really just reemphasized and strengthened my decision that I was more confident that I was doing it. Is that I'm able to now use this time to just continue to network, continue to build relationships, and just grow as a student and as a professional. But unfortunately, I lost my senior year of lacrosse, and I lost the opportunity to graduate with my friends, lost those last little moments and memories that I was going to have with a lot of my senior friends, my teammates, my roommates, and just all those special moments that I know I won't be able to get exactly back in that same fashion. But I'm going to be staying another year for my master's degree, doing the 4+1 program. And I'm extremely pumped up about that. And I'm really excited to have that opportunity to be able to be a full-time student again, to be able to kind of just finish off those little things that I really wanted to be able to do coming into my freshman year, finish another season of lacrosse. And it's going to be one of those things that one of the biggest things that I'm really reemphasizing when people ask me why I'm staying for my master's is, especially now, I want to give America a year to get back on its feet, to just kind of, I know a lot of places are going to be struggling to hire people. I know it's going to be hard to get jobs. I mean, so many people are filing for unemployment right now. And I think it's going to be one of those things that I'll be able to just continue to get a higher education degree. And I'm going to be able to not limit myself to certain jobs when I come out of college at 23. So I'm excited for that. And I know it's going to be definitely a challenge having another year of school, but I love school. I'll be honest with you. I don't want it to end essentially, but I know that it has to at some point, and I know that it'll be time to move on with my career.
Well, Alex, T's and P's to your lacrosse season. We know you were a heck of a defenseman there, number 99.
Yeah.
And you know what? I only got one story chain, but you really been racking them up this episode. So congratulations to that. But we're putting you back in your place. You are now the bread and cheese, and we're about to grill you.
All right.
Get ready. This is what we call quick six. We're going to have 6 rapid fire questions for you. So get ready. All right, I'm starting out. You ready?
There's the clock.
There's the clock.
Oh, there it is.
There's the clock. That just means it's time for the quick six. That's exactly what that means.
The 4 o'clock alarm.
Train's coming to town.
It's almost done.
Am I giving one-word answers here?
Bong.
You can give as many words as you would like.
All right.
Just a quick answer.
Absolutely.
Quick answer. Quick 6. No stories. We ran out of chains. All right, here we go. You ready? Focus.
Locked in.
3, 2, 1. The last time you were looking at a cloud, what picture did you imagine it being?
The Toy Story clouds. I thought it was going to look like them.
Would you rather have Cool Ranch Doritos or nacho cheese Doritos?
Oh, nacho cheese, 100%.
Who's your favorite Browns player of all time?
Josh Cribbs.
What was the original 28-3 comeback in the NFL?
The Cleveland Browns versus Tennessee Titans, 2014. Brian Hoyer, quarterback.
Would you rather own the Cleveland Browns but never win a Super Bowl, or never be able to watch them again but they win 10 Super Bowls?
Oh, that's a terrible position to be in. I want them to win. I've watched enough. It's been rough, so I want them to win. Good question.
I like that
That's
dog
tough.
pound analogy.
What's
That's
your
rough.
what's your favorite baseball card that you have?
Can I say I'll do football and baseball. Favorite baseball
Fair.
card I have. I had a Mike Trout rookie card that I got for $20 from my dad and sold it for $100. Don't tell him I did that though.
Won't tell him.
Favorite baseball card or favorite football card, I would say my Baker Mayfield gold ink rookie autograph.
Nice.
Nice. Well, Rucci, just like everything you do, you nailed that one out of the park. So we appreciate you doing that. It was a great quick 6. You guys have anything else to say? Any more rants?
I would just say, just keep social distancing. We're all in this together, and soon we'll be out of it. But we got to do our part.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Jeff, anything else?
Yeah, just stay home, stay safe, wash your hands. Keep on keeping on. Best of luck to everybody as the semester wraps up.
Rucci, got anything else?
Yeah,
Anything
I just
last word?
Yeah, thank you guys for this awesome opportunity to as Sean McDonald said, I'm a frequent watcher, so it's pretty good to be on here. I'm honored, and I know it was tough during the season because I couldn't meet that 2 to 4 Wednesday time slot, and it's just I appreciate this opportunity too, and I appreciate what you guys are doing. I think it's awesome.
Absolutely. You know, we're grateful that you're a frequent watcher. You know, we really appreciate your support, and you're a great guy. We loved having you. You had great stories and real exciting episode. It was a big build up. We're ashamed we couldn't get you on the beige couch in the studio, but this was beautiful.
Brady Quinn behind me works, so it's fine. It's okay.
That guy's got a little more muscles than you do, though.
I know.
Rucci.
Look at those things. Jeez.
Massive
I'll hit the weight room
biceps.
soon. Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, we all got time, so we appreciate it. We want to thank Andrew and Jeff again. We want to thank our producers, Sean, and everyone helping us, Dr. J. You know, it's obviously isn't the easiest time, but we're still rolling with Intern TV. So you just want to thank our fans again, and everyone out there, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay happy. Be mentally positive. Rucci showed positivity today, and it will always help out. So thank you, and we will see you next week. I'm Matt Dopp, and we'll see you on Intern TV.